last year we had a discussion with Anna Revau and Tim Brown, and you might remember this was very much a freestyle session where we completely at the beginning asked 4 questions, big questions from the audience, and the entire conversation was framed around it. And we thought, well, it's playground of possibilities, let's do something similar this time, and we play a little bit, so this will be also improvised. And I love to give homework, so I gave my speakers homework, and I was like, you have to listen to each other very carefully and write down a good question that you have for each of the others. Are you ready to get started? I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. First rule, first question, we talked about self-belief, right, and a little bit confidence. Who feels confident to have good handwriting?
To what?
Good handwriting. Everybody has to check. Well, I have to pull a card. Let me get started. I'll randomly pull a card, and this will be the first question. I'll start with you.
Okay.
All right. So this is a question to Marije. Oh, do you have eating rituals when you eat by yourself?
The same.
Oh, you have the same question.
Wow, it's a
very personal question that we start with.
Not really, actually. I really also like that I'm really just a regular person, like anybody else, a working mother. And I quite like that. And I really try also not to become a food snob. Because, of course, in my work in the past decades, I've been getting a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences. So I could easily be a food snob. But I really like not to be one, because I like to also be in the unknowing. So I try to just appreciate everything, even simple food.
Hideaki, it seemed like you had a similar question to Marije. You were nodding. Yeah, that's a question I had. Very personal one we start with. Let's start with another question. Friedrich, you're sitting next to me. Yeah, I don't want to see it. Also to Marije.
Now I'm done after this.
Where in your work is the distinction between entertainment and critical exploration?
I think it's both. I think it is, if I want people to really feel the importance of something, so a critical reflection on something, and to establish that in another person, I need to make sure that this other person is engaged with what I do. So I think this, to make it attractive, or to make something they want to desire, is really part of the strategy to get people to engage with the deeper meaning. So it's really both.
Maybe, Hideaki, I'll give that question to you as well. When you design public spaces, how do you balance entertainment? That is important, right? You want to attract people, but then the critical reflection. What's your approach to this?
Absolutely. For the audience, it's not so complicated to make an attraction, this kind of stuff. But the point is not just staying in the mode of attraction, but second is engagement, right? Having the motivation to keep. But ideally, I have a picture like attraction, engagement, and action. Action is quite important. So if we have such creative initiative to take them to this active mode, as you have many experiences, it's not easy. But I'm gonna try to stimulate to reach to this active mode. So that's my kind of picture that I'm always considering.
Maybe a quick follow-up question, then maybe also to you, Marije. Can attraction also be then a distraction sometimes and distract people? How do you balance that?
Well, I wonder, because the world is full of things that are so boring and so meaningless that I think if attraction is made because you have something that you want to display, it's up to the person if they can see that. You cannot always force people to have the experience that you are aiming for, but you can have that incentive.
So the results could be a bit open, right? You leave it up to what will happen.
Yeah, and then if it ends up with the majority of people really getting it and some people just having a good time, then that's also valuable, I think.
Fully fine. All right, now I'll pull a card from you, because then you will not be on the card. Let's see, this one. This goes to Emmi. Why do you think creatives are more prone to burnout, depression, anxiety, or is everyone equally sensitive?
good question. Well, the studies show that people working in the creative industry are actually 3 times more likely to suffer from mental ill health, and that's a study by Northern Ireland University and a charity called Inspire. And they state that the reasons are basically that we identify with the work so much, but then we don't get the reward for it in the same way. So our clients aren't necessarily sort of appreciating the hours that we put in the same way. It's also irregular working hours, not enough pay for our efforts. There's a whole list of reasons behind that. It's not because you are creative, therefore you sort of are more likely to have difficulties. It's the industry sort of set up against us at the moment, unfortunately.
It would be interesting also to hear the other perspectives. Maybe, I mean, in your presentation, you emphasized also, there was a period when I was lacking ideas. Is that something, a specific pressure that applies to the creatives out there, that you feel a burden when you're not creative?
There was a period of what, sorry?
That there's a pressure when you don't generate ideas, and that this is...
Yeah, I think that was just the ultimate sign of a burnout for me. Like, I sort of, for me, it's quite natural to sort of just have ideas of like, oh, I'd like to make that, or I'd like to do that, and not necessarily always act on it. But when that kind of spirit was gone, it was really a sad moment. So yeah, but I don't know if it's, I don't think it's creative, professional related only. That can happen to anyone, especially if you're feeling really passionate about your work.
Maybe I also want to hear from the others, Friedrich, maybe your perspective on that. Do you have these moments where there's a burden of you're not able to create ideas, or are you full bursting all the time with ideas?
Well, I also suffered a burnout a few years ago, but it was too much ideas, not enough time to be pleasant to all of them. And when I was listening to you, I always feel that I'm not good enough, as I belong to this high percentage, but I think that's why we're doing this kind of job, because it's something where so fantastic things are evolving, and many of them, or all of them, are not from me, they are from others, but that's why I'm in there. And if I would work, I don't know, as something less creative, then there would be nothing that I admire. And then I would maybe not say I'm not good enough. Yeah? And so I would say that's part of why I'm doing that, not to be negative against myself or depressed about myself, but to be in a business or situation where whatever city I'm visiting, I can go into a contemporary museum where I see the work of contemporary colleagues, and in every second work I say, wow, great. Yeah? And I'm part of it, even though I'm not in this museum. Yeah? So because they are better or more advanced or more smart or whatever. But that's so great. That's why I'm doing that. It's, so I don't have a problem with this analysis of 83% think others are better in their job than they are. Yes, that's cool. I would
Maybe
say.
a different question that came in that direction to my mind. Emmi, you elaborated on how to find inspiration. I mean, you clearly showed you get inspired by nature, but then I was like curious, where do you get inspiration from? Marije, maybe asking you, where do you draw inspiration from for your creative work?
I want to ask everyone,
Right.
raise your hand if you get ideas in the shower.
No.
Yay!
Maybe, yeah.
You know why? Because when you're in the shower, or when you're, I don't know, doing the dishes or doing like repetitive work, your mind is not forced to think of something, and you get from beta brainwaves into alpha brainwaves, and that's actually the moment where you can easily latch on to less linear thoughts, and that's why the shower or running, walking in the forest, those kind of moments are like very. I make all my money in the shower. Very unsustainable. Yeah.
So we're not asking how often you shower them per day, because that's a creative
Well, I
source.
do really, like,
And-
if I know I need to have an answer on something that I'm stuck, then I take a shower. Yeah, I try not to do it too often.
All right, now we
Actually,
dig deeper into this. Yeah, Emmi,
Sorry,
yes.
I just want to share another study by Stanford University. They found that if you go for a walk, and it can be indoors or outdoors for sort of up to 5 minutes, your creativity increases by 60%. I mean, that's amazing. Like, you can do a short walk of 5 minutes, and suddenly, like, your thoughts are running again.
Little idea that we pick up for the next design summit next year. We'll do a creative walk during lunch break.
That's great.
I think we do that.
That's nice.
Deal. Wonderful. Hideaki, where do you get inspiration from?
Well, to me, encounters. Of course, shower is encounter, maybe, but including a meeting like today, So when we have new ideas, always coming from the, moment to encounter with something, different. So the most difficult enemy is ourselves, in a sense, because we are very much biased. We needed to admit our strong, our idea. But by talking or by, encountering with, water or diving into the cold water, whatever, So physically, psychologically, when we meet differences, I feel, something idea is coming. So means move, and also kind of feel, and also open our sense, and to. But for doing so, of course, we need a foundation like that. We are searching for something. If we have this mindset at the bottom, of course, the encounters will be making differences to shape the idea. So to me, encounters are an inspiration source.
Maybe because encounters also create friction from time to time? Is that something that helps?
Of course, yeah.
Of course?
Yeah.
Because, Friedrich, then that question also goes to you, but you at the beginning said we need to get out of the ivory towers. So do we need to create encounters where we have that friction in order to be inspired, in order to be creative? And second question, where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, I think inspiration, even though I don't like the word, comes always, everywhere, every time. So I don't go to the shower to get inspirations, but I go swimming, and sometimes to the shower when I want to get free of all this, which is coming to me and it's going in my brain and so on. And so the inspiration is coming all the time, and then I have tools. That's what I learned, that's what I studied, that's what my work is, to bring them into an order, to make them into something valuable. And then there's this time which you call pause, or wander is when I go out, when I'm walking, when I'm swimming, when I'm... so that's the time when I try to get free of all that. And then suddenly there's a solution, because you're never free. Then you are swimming, and then, I got it, and then you have to go to land and make a note, and then you can go back.
It's interesting to see how you draw inspiration from different ways and different ideas. I mean, in your presentation, that's why that question came up. You showed how you develop color palettes from what you see anywhere, basically, right? Maybe you tell us a little bit more, because that's something tangible, how you get inspired.
I just love color so much. I can't stop myself. I often think it's fascinating when things sort of unexpectedly just come together. Like, your stockings are the same color as this red hair. I just had to take a few snaps earlier. Apologies. I'm going to keep it private. But color is just a world that I feel like I'm still learning so much about color. So there's like a continuous research into it going on. But other than sort of visual things, I also really like to just learn about anything that sort of sits outside traditional design field. I think there's something where we learn about things that are a bit of unknown to us, and then we connect it with the things that are really familiar to us. Something quite interesting starts to happen.
So the encounters, definitely a question I have on the public spaces. We probably dive into that, because this is where you create encounters and design for encounters. But Hideaki, we have the rules, right? I need to...
Do you wanna, I don't know. Okay. Emmi,
take this one. This goes to Emmi. For the future works, what area topics are you interested in? The future work, your future work, what are the topics and areas you're interested in?
That's such such a good question.
Because I was so inspired from her talk. What's next? What is
What's she working
her
on?
next curiosity? I wanted to know about your some areas.
Well, I suppose on the client level, I'm sort of continuing doing a lot of work in the sustainability field. But in terms of like my own exploration in my own joyous time, I've actually gotten, and this is why I asked you the question, like I've gotten so into table setups. Like if I happen to have a dinner or lunch or whatever, breakfast on my own, I put a lot of effort on the table setup. I've got like a selection of napkins and things, and I don't know what will happen with that, but I'm taking great joy in food preparation, presentation at the moment. So who knows?
There's a collaboration kind of in the making, probably, right?
Sounds great.
See you both nodding. Okay, and time for another card. Emmi, I'll pull one more.
Yes.
Then
Take that one.
rewriting the rules, right? I'll pull a card, take that one. Hideaki,
Yes.
what initiatives do you have for your team to find time to experiment and research?
That's a good question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As you also mentioned in the slide, definitely research is everything, let's say. If you are doing without any research, without any quality and content, I think this is our very important dogma also in our team. So did you research well? Or what's the kind of point, meaning? And of course, we can react immediately, for the client or for some, initiatives. But we are taking time to spend, for the research, because without any research, it doesn't make any, differences. Particularly in the age of artificial intelligence. So there are many, similar approaches, to deal with that. How can we make unique researches? Also, that is a point, as my opinion.
And do you do that so that you have like a specific day a week that your team is researching, or do you budget it in when you have a client project? Do you say to the client like this much of the budget will go in the research?
Depending on the initiative, though. For instance, my team, our Technological Future Lab, we have internal grant, internal expedition. Kind of time that
Nice.
they can really look for the things. So my job is, of course, we needed to curate the reasonable project to fit into the expedition. So,
Yes.
but this balance is, as everyone have a similar also cycle of the project acquisition and implementation. Not easy, honestly, to speak. But at least we recognize that we implement such internal systems to have enough time to take the research in our also laboratory as well. Yeah.
Maybe just to follow up, then enough time also to experiment, right? Because from the research you do the experiments, and then later that kind of testing. Maybe, Marije, to you, how much do you experiment with the work you do? Obviously, is a lot of experimentation, but how much of your time does that constitute to?
Yeah, I do a lot of things just for fun, because I want to, and because I think it's really a nice way when you have a fascination for something to kind of weave it into your projects. So, for example, I've been doing like a food massage salon because I just wanted to get more into massaging and what that meant. So then I always try to kind of like, if I'm interested in understanding how ceramics work, then I come up with a project where I can incorporate that, and then I can learn a new skill and apply for funding to get like a kiln and then to weave it into my work. So I always work like inspired by this thing that just fascinates me at the moment, and then I just kind of weave it into the things I do. So it's always part experimentation, part previous knowledge, and
And some very creative projects. Over lunch, I talked to one of you in the audience, a big fan of yours, who said you did a project probably more than 10 years ago in a pasta sauna. It sounded really interesting. So you come up with something that is that sometimes also to provoke thoughts, or is that the right frame? To provoke a thought? I mean, a pasta sauna?
Yeah, the pasta sauna was made initially because of the futurist art movement, who wanted to abandon pasta and who were also horrible politically, but they also had interesting ideas of connecting different senses together in Gesamtkunst. And so the pasta sauna was a place where you would, like, it was a steam sauna where pasta was being made, and the pasta machines were connected to music boxes, so you could make music and pasta at the same time, and then enter this space where there was all the steam, and then eat a bowl of pasta. So it was kind of like inspired by the futurists and also not, because they hated pasta and I didn't.
And we have to disappoint the audience. We don't have that for the get-together and the dinner tonight. Sorry
Next
about that.
time.
But we might give you the opportunity for questions. We rewrite the rules here as well. 1 or 2 questions from the audience. If not, there's still a few cards. Who wants to? Well, you can still think about it. Friedrich, I'll just pull a card in the meantime. Oh, you mix it. Thank you. This goes to Emmi. Wait, you have to help me. What?
I'm a left-hander. It's really difficult to read my own writing.
No, it's beautiful writing, but...
If the blueberry textile is a non-intended, not have to be perfect, just for play and recreation object, why do you present it like a design product fashion item?
Sorry, I didn't sort
See,
of
we're
catch that.
in the same boat. It was a complicated question.
You presented some objects where you say, don't think about it has to be perfect, just do it. And then it looks totally perfect like a fashion item. And you presented it on a business week thing. That seems to be contradictory. To first say, don't have to be perfect, just do it for your fun, and then present it in a professional context, looking like a fashion item, very beautiful.
I don't think it's very professional if it's missing a whole letter from an alphabet. But that's just my personal opinion. I suppose if I would do it perfectly, I would like to do the whole alphabet, and I'm doing an alphabet.
No, not the alphabet, but before, these textile, these very beautiful blueberry.
Oh, I really don't think it's perfect in any way. That's just like a test. I don't know, it's not.
But wasn't it an illustration to show your bigger idea? So it makes a lot of sense, right? Or is it too perfect for you? Sorry to interrupt.
And maybe a
You
distinction.
could
just
sell
to
it in Berlin in a fashion store for, I don't know, 800 euro. Or
Damn, I've
south
put it in the
200.
bin.
Depends on the textile, I would say.
So it's a compliment for the work that it's
I suppose, like, I'm a commercial designer as a graphic designer. So if I create something in my spare time to have fun, and that's all it is. It's like me spending a couple of hours doing something fun, and that's where it stops. I don't really see it as a design project.
We have a question from the audience in the back. You might want to stand up and say your name, and then your question, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is for Friedrich. You were talking about using AI to help, and correct me if I'm wrong, replace the ultimate user that you would like to test your product, idea, service with. One of the questions that came to my mind was, how do you make sure that they're not taking a bias of what exists on the internet? Because we also know when we, for example, want to render an image on Midjourney and you say inventor, usually it's a white male. And all of this bias exists all over the internet, which AI is trained on. So how do you avoid, through your tool, for example, stopping this bias of somebody who's an activist who comes off as, let's say, a bit more confrontational, you know, the stereotypes that are not necessarily true or particularly helpful? That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe 2 questions. One is, you are deciding yourself whom you want to talk to in one mode, and then you have to take care that you are not biased. And if you only talk to your bubble, your peer group, if you say, I'm a fashion designer, I want to have feedback from fashion designers, female, my age, my town, then you maybe get a biased answer. But that's, in a way, your decision. It's just a tool. You also can say, I want to have feedback from slow fashion activists or anti-sweatshop activists or I don't know, a nudist who don't need clothes, whatever. That's your decision and your curiosity. And the other thing what we are working on is that we also can offer a mode where we analyze. As we analyze the thinking patterns, we analyze the structure of the proposal, and then we suggest people you could talk to, and then it could be biased if you think that our analytic methods are biased, but then it's the bias of the system and not the bias of the user, which then maybe helps you to get a broader perspective. Two different biases, maybe not the same, will help. But our aim is that the analysis of our system is not biased. But as we know, all technology is biased, so there will be some bias anyway.
And a bit of bias back to the user, but then also we have more questions. Verena, in the back, there was another one.
Hi, I'm over here. Hi, my name is Paula. I'm a design
up
student
there.
in Munich.
Hello.
Hi, and I also have a question concerning AI, because we talked a lot about it, and especially in school, I feel kind of an apathy towards AI-generated content. And I feel like that is in part because there's no scientific consensus about what intelligence is. And if we talk about AI, it's kind of a sloppy word because it's not very precise. And if we talk about it in a design context, then I feel like we do have to talk about... Oh.
Little technical glitch.
No critical questions allowed.
Test. Hello?
Technical guys are biased as well, right?
The microphone is biased, yeah.
We try again?
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to ask not also economical, but also ecological questions, like Emmi said. And I was just wondering how Friedrich's AI is being trained, like Sam Altman's AI is ethically very, very difficult, I think. So I was just wondering how you're going to solve those problems and the bias that was talked about before. I think I understood it as a question about the system. So is the system biased? Is the system reproducing racist or homophobic or sexist things that are on the internet? Thank you.
Okay, that's a very long question. It's a good question. It's 2 minutes, 2 seconds on the watch. First, I'm not sitting here as a designer who says designers are solving problems, and I presented you a product which solves a problem. I'm sitting here as a theoretician from an art school making interventions into real world, and to say that he's making an AI startup. And so I'm totally into all these things you are criticizing. Yeah? And I'm working with it, I'm playing with it, I'm swimming in it, and I'm analyzing it, but I'm not offering the better solution. And I'm offering a solution within the system which we can use, but not an alternative to the system itself. And we debated this question of what is intelligence, could machines have intelligence, and so on, for sure in our seminars with the other art schools. And there are many smart people who are saying that machines can't be intelligent, that it's something very human, and so on. There's these discourses. But for me, as an interventionist, as someone who's curious, I just want to understand how this economy, how this world is working. And so I'm jumping in it like into a river or a sea, and I'm swimming around, and I'm looking what I'm seeing there. And that's my method. And yes, it's biased. Yes, some AIs are racist and misogyn and so on. And we have to name it as theoreticians, but we have to debate this as audience and as users. But I'm not the one who is inventing the better solution.
Maybe, Hideaki, we can do a follow-up question on this one, because as Electronica, again, intersection between art, technology, and then society.
Yeah.
And you create these spaces. Do you have spaces also where you want to have these discussions
Absolutely.
about ethical aspects of technology, for example?
I think connecting to also today's agenda, playground, So as Friedrich mentioned, we are not just users and consumers of technologies. And also ChatGPT or, generative AI system is very much, from, really the traditional thinking way. So why don't we have techno-diversities and also define the tools, define ways to critically, develop our own kind of, tools themselves? I think for the new, our paradigm in the age that AI can answer, the questions, we needed to have the original, our, method. We needed to have our original playground to examine, and also we need a place to make a dialogue. So I think in the way, the playground or experimental zone, and also research, as you mentioned, research is definitely necessary, particularly for this, artificial intelligence. Then my question is, what's the negotiating humanity? Is coming to also the question, how, are we, also living? But we need a place. We need a place together to, exchange and to test. So otherwise it's never ending. So we don't have the answers, to answer to that question. So that's what I would like to share.
And it's also coming to the end of our reflection round, like some big questions being asked from the audience, probably a lot of food for thought also, that we continue the conversation later during the breaks and during the get-together. Yeah, as I said, we're coming to an end of this reflection round. It was a little bit of an experiment. First of all, thanks to all of you for directly jumping in and say, like, yeah, let's do it, and let's see what comes out. Thanks to everybody. I hope you enjoyed the discussion here. So big applause for the four of you, Friedrich, Emmi, Hideaki, and Marije.